Welcome back to our channel and welcome if you're new. This is going to be week 4 of us sharing our meal prep with you. As I mentioned last week, doing this meal prep has really been helpful for us, so we decided that we were going to continue to do it and share it with you. This week we kept our meal prep very simple with just some soup jars and a beans and rice recipe that we love. Along with prepping our meals, I thought that this week I could share a little bit about our process of coming up with a meal plan and a grocery list and kind of how we keep everything straight. For starters, we are big budgeters. We do a zero base budget every month and we write out a cash flow that just tells us where we're spending money each week. So we kind of look at that and know what we need to do. So while the increases that we've been seeing recently have increased how much we're spending on groceries, we at least have a planned budget, and now we're knowing that, okay, we have to add more to that budget to make sure that we still stay on track and reach all of our goals. So each week when I'm getting ready to plan the meals, I sit down and I write out what we're going to have basically each day. Once I have our meals planned for the week, I take a look around our pantry and our refrigerator to see what things we already have, and then I start writing out our grocery list. I tend to be a visual person and like to really see what we need to get in writing. So I like to write down all the things. I start off with produce and I just go through all of the different sections of the grocery list to make sure that I'm getting everything that I need for what I'm going to be preparing. As I told you in previous videos, we really enjoy doing our grocery shopping online. That is definitely another thing that kind of helps to stay on a budget because you are putting the things in the cart that are on your list. And even if you're putting things that you're like, oh, I just saw this, I want this, you're able to see that total and really decide before you check out if you really need all of these things or want all of these things and if they still fit within your budget. I recently created a digital planner that helps me to keep all of my meal plans as well as my grocery lists and budgets in order and easy to look at a glance. The planner has a space for you to write out your menu and then to write out your grocery list for the week with your budget at the top. And then at the end of each month, you have space to put in your notes as well as any recipes. Let's say you're trying a new recipe, you can write it directly in there. So then you just always have it to go back to. As a bonus, at the end of the planner, I have 12 recipes that are favorites or have been favorites in our family, and so they're there for you, easy access. I have included a link in the description box if you're interested in purchasing this digital planner. It's definitely a great start to getting you on track with your groceries and your budget for groceries, as well as keeping you on track. All right, let's get into this meal prep. So this week we made soup jars. The funny thing about these soup jars is probably 9 years ago, Max worked for Amazon and I used to make him lunch. He worked the overnight shift, so I would make him a meal to take with him to work. And so at first it started with just sandwiches, but then he started like wanting to have something warm. So I saw probably on Pinterest or something these jars, and they would put like some ramen noodles in the bottom and different veggies and some meat, and then all he had to do was add hot water to it at work. So I used to make them for him. But after all of those years, or these years, I forgot about them. But my sister sent me a TikTok video with soup jars. And I'm like, I can make these for us because we've definitely been more interested in eating warm things since it's been so cold here. So for the soup jars, I started off by just getting all of my vegetables prepped. And here I am cooking off some mushrooms because the hot water will, heat up and soften the vegetables, but I'm just not really into raw mushrooms, so I thought this would be nice. So to assemble the jars, I'm starting off with a green curry paste and a vegetable bouillon base. Now, the amount that I put in here, I probably put about a teaspoon of each. It wasn't enough. So when we actually made the jars, we had to go in and add a little bit more. So I think because there was like 32, it's a 32-ounce jar, it just needed more. So we started off with the bouillon, and then I put these rice noodles in. Now the rice noodles, they cook in just hot water in like 5 minutes. So they're the perfect noodle to put in here and not have to worry about cooking them ahead of time. Next, I piled in all of my veggies. So I started with carrots and then some peppers, scallions, mushrooms, and topped it off with spinach. Now again, when we made the jars, we realized that we really wanted to have more vegetables in here. So we found this stir fry mix at Walmart in the frozen food department, and we actually like microwaved that and put that in the bottom of the bowl before we put the soup in. So these are the jars assembled, and now to serve, all you have to do is fill it with hot water and let it sit for like 5 minutes, give it a good shake, and it's ready to go. For the pigeon peas and rice and for the pinto beans, I'm going to be leaving the recipe in the description box for you. We are still in an Airbnb, so there was only one big pot, so I kind of had to improvise on this recipe. So what I decided to do was I made up the sofrito that the recipe calls for in just one pot, and it kind of, the ingredients were similar that I was supposed to put in the rice and in the beans, so I made one big pot of it and then I split it up. For seasonings, I use Sazon, adobo with the red cap, onion powder, garlic powder, complete seasoning, and some red pepper flakes. This is the mixture after it cooked down a bit. I also added in a can of tomato sauce and some cilantro. For the rice, I thought that I was recording and I was not. So I basically used a casserole dish. I put the rice in. I think I did 4 cups of rice. I doubled the recipe. So I put the rice in, I added in the pigeon peas, and then I took maybe a half of the sofrito mixture. I took half of that, added it into the rice, and got it all mixed up. And then I added in my water. I used warm water, and then got it all covered up and into the oven to cook. I set the oven to 425, and it took maybe about 20 minutes to cook. For the beans, I just added in canned pinto beans to the sofrito mixture and just let it cook down for a while, adjusted the seasonings, and then it was ready to serve. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel and be sure to check the description box for our new meal and grocery planner.